It is Saturday morning. Good morning to you. If you are following this still, then you're very dedicated to your PR. Welcome back to the Public Relations Podcast. And the topic I want to talk about today, very briefly at least, is about branding, which is a word that is so widely used. But I just wanted to give a quick tip if it's something that you struggle with perhaps a little bit about trying to brand your organization. Welcome to the Public Relations Podcast once again. I'm in a boardroom at the moment. This is where I've been all week in Athens, in Greece, and I won't turn the camera around to show you all the seating area over here with the food and the coffees and the teas and the orange juices. If you're listening on the audio version of this, you can just imagine there's a lot of laptops and computers just around me at the moment. If you're watching on YouTube, you can't see because I'm not moving the camera around, but you can see on YouTube that I've got a flip chart behind me with lots of paper on, and I was doing this presentation yesterday about branding. The key point I want to make about branding is, you could go into this topic for hours and hours, but the key point is what are you trying to be seen as? Now that sounds obvious. And what people tend to do then is that then they think about their organization's logo, like the environmental company or the friendly company or something like that. And it's all well and good saying that, but it's a bit like so many of these awards that you hear about, which sort of sound like an organization is a particular thing. It's invest in people or it's won some environmental award. And in order for people to actually gain that idea, to believe it, they need to see the evidence. They don't want to hear you say it. You can say we're the environmental company a million times, and to an extent that will stick, but what will really stick is a demonstration of it. So the point, and I saw this particularly when I used to work in politics as well, is that if you're trying to label yourself as something, don't just say, I am X, demonstrate it. So for example, if you are, let's say you are a brain surgeon who is into heavy metal music, there is no point if you're trying to label yourself and portray yourself as an expert on brain surgery and going out and doing talks and interviews about brain surgery if your social media is just covered in pictures of you in your heavy metal t-shirts and going to gigs. It's an extreme example, but it really does illustrate the point. So, for example, let's say you're trying to put across the idea that you are an environmental organization, in which case there's no point you putting across images of how your profits have grown or how your share price has gone up so much if you're a company, or how many new subscribers you've had to your campaign, because your aim is to get across the environmental message here. So in almost all the stuff that you're doing, you're going to be wanting to put across demonstrations of how you're doing that. So for example, I've mentioned this one before, someone talking about how much fuel has been reduced, the number of journeys, the number of air travel and things like this. The amount of paper that's being used, the amount of just general car travel, the amount of meetings that are taking place, maybe people working from home, all these figures gradually building up this point that you're an environmental organization and getting that label over there that you're clearly thinking about it. This is something that is running through your entire being, because it's that stuff which is really going to convince people. As I say, you can say this, and definitely you want to say, we're an environmentally conscious organization, but demonstrate it, don't just tell it. This is the exercise that you can do, actually. If you're not quite sure how to demonstrate it, think about another organization that is already doing, or who already has the brand that you would like to have. If you think about one, there's always going to be someone that has a similar brand, even if it's not in your sphere. And then think about why you personally came to that conclusion. Why did you think in your mind that they are that environmental organization or that friendly organization or that cheap organization? What was it about it? What signs did you get in your head and over the years, whether you've seen it on TV or newspapers or maybe your interactions with that organization? What things made you come to that conclusion? And just write down a list of those ideas. Just write down a few of those points as to what those evident steps were. And then once you've written those down, look at it and go, well, what could we do to demonstrate that too? Could we do the same thing? Could we get that same mention in that article? Could we do that same social media tweet or that video or that marketing? What is it that we could do that would help to present us in that light too? So, very quick, simple one, branding for the weekend. And as I say, with the public relations podcast, if you're working in a PR agency, you know this stuff already. You don't need this show for that. This is really aimed at people who are working in a small company who are doing a real sort of communications manager across the board role, where these kind of tips, I hope, are providing some real value to you. I think that's nearly it for this week. If I find anything else that I notice while I'm here in Athens, I will share that with you on the show over the weekend. But if not, I would love to know what you thought of these mini episodes this week. I've put out one almost every day this week. Did you like them? Do you prefer the longer sort of 20-minute episodes? Do you like these short bite-sized ones? What do you prefer? You can reach me on social media, Twitter at that PR chap on Twitter. LinkedIn, you can find me. Richard Midson is my name, Midson. And of course, you can find all the links. Oh, and to sign up to the newsletter, which this weekend will be all about press releases at thepublicrelationspodcast.com, thepublicrelationspodcast.com, from the flip chart from Athens. Unless I find something else to talk about tomorrow, I'll speak to you very soon. Have an awesome weekend, by the way.